First on our list is the movie Brazil. Yep, that's the title of the movie, but the story is anything but the tropical fun or relaxing experience a Brazilian vacation might be. For the most part of the movie, it's a sci fi comedy rooted in dark humor, but the final minutes of the movie reveal an unpredictable dark ending. Directed by Terry Gilliam, this 1985 movie is set in a futuristic world that can only be described as dystopian, polluted, and totalitarian. And to put it simply, it's an undesirable world where the masses are being terrorized by the government. The protagonist is a guy named Sam Lowry, who is a low level government employee with frequent dreams about rescuing a damsel in distress. On the other side of the story are two men, Archibald Buttle and Archibald Tuttle. The former was a cobbler, while the latter was a former government home amenities repair worker turned suspected terrorist. As you'd expect, the authorities were out to arrest the suspected terrorist. However, in the process of printing his arrest warrant, an error occurs and the warrant shows Archibald Buttle instead of Tuttle. The innocent cobbler gets wrongly arrested and in the interrogation process ends up being killed by extreme law enforcement actions. Sam catches wind of the wrongful arrest and malfeasance and hopes to set things right. This puts into motion a chain of events leading to him meeting the woman from his dreams, Jill, and as it turns out, she's neighbors with the dead cobbler and is helping his wife find justice. As you probably guessed, the authorities want the truth covered up, and in the process of ensuring that, they kill Jill, arrest Sam, and charge him with treason. As he's about to get tortured, Tuttle, who was being wrongly regarded as a terrorist, breaks into the government facility and rescues Sam. He then, inexplicably, ends up being in attendance at his mother's friend's funeral. At least he escapes, right? Well, wrong. In the final minutes of the movie, viewers get to see that Sam never actually broke out of the government facility. Rather, he remained in custody and was tortured until he descended into irrecoverable insanity, leaving him stuck in a delusional state. So escaping getting captured by police and a group of monsters and going on the run with his beloved Jill was all part of the hallucination. Because this movie is a cult classic, ranked among the best British movies of all time, there have been so many theories and interpretations of the ending. But the one consistent theme throughout all the interpretations is that the government won and neither the innocent cobbler or any of those fighting in resistance got justice. It might have seemed funny back then, but with injustice being the reality in so many parts of the world today, this ending is more depressing than comical. As for this next movie, you can tell how twisted and disturbing it gets from just the title, Invasion of the Body Snatchers. This movie was released in 1978, directed by Philip Kaufman. It was supposed to be just a remake of the original movie from 1956, which was based on Jack Finney's novel of the same title. However, Kaufman's version ended up being the best adaptation of the story by leaps and bounds. Like the title suggests, the movie tells the story of the horrific events resulting from an amorphous parasitic alien invading Earth. These aliens are able to take the form of small seed pods with pink flowers upon settling, which makes them appear very harmless. However, these aliens are able to spawn duplicates of human beings just from the pods, while the original humans disintegrate in terrifying fashion. For this process to take place, the aliens need the original humans to be asleep. To achieve this, they capture and sedate humans to gradually form duplicates from embryos in real time. The duplicates have completely emotionless dispositions and creepy high-pitched screams, which were actually created by recordings of pig squeals. The propagation rate of these aliens is high and sped up by an increased supply of the flower pods. And as the movie progresses, it's revealed that the aliens' sole aim is to replace humanity with serene, emotionless duplicates, whose only goal is to survive. The story focuses on two laboratory scientists in the San Francisco Health Department, Matthew and Elizabeth, who are among the first to notice these alien duplicates slowly taking over people. The two main characters are joined by a couple, Jack and Nancy Belichick, and together they try to warn others and fight against the duplicates. Although they manage to kill a few and escape capture on more than one occasion, the main characters slowly get replaced by doppelgangers, one by one. By the end of the movie, the aliens have almost completely taken over the city and are seen loading thousands of pods into a ship. Matthew ends up being the last surviving human and takes the heroic move of blowing up the warehouse and killing many pod people. He is then shown hiding from the surviving aliens until a flashlight's light shines in his direction, indicating he had been found. The final scene shows Matthew at the health department with duplicates of his employees when Nancy, who had apparently survived and escaped being duplicated, signals his attention. But Matthew's response is a high-pitched scream to alert the other aliens, indicating he has now been duplicated and Nancy, mankind's last hope, has been discovered with no way of escaping. Essentially, the Body Snatchers take over Earth, which is very much the villain winning. Away from all the horror and creepiness, let's check out a different genre with the same conclusion, the movie Basic Instinct. There have been some controversies regarding backstage malpractices since the movie was released in '92, but Basic Instinct is still one of the best erotic thrillers ever put on the big screens. In it, the legendary Sharon Stone plays the role of a gorgeous crime novelist, Catherine Trammell, whose boyfriend, a retired rock star, gets murdered with an ice pick during a kinky sexual intercourse session. The San Francisco Police Department gets on the case with Detective Nick Curran and his partner, Gus Moran, taking the lead. The investigation proceeds, and gradually, different information comes to light, taking the entire process in twists and turns. Catherine, who's the prime suspect, is revealed to have a history of befriending convicted murderers of family members. She also starts writing her latest book with Detective Nick as the main protagonist who gets murdered after falling for the wrong woman. Nick ends up becoming a murder suspect himself after one of his colleagues was found murdered shortly after getting assaulted by him. Things get a lot more complicated when Nick gets into a sexual relationship with Catherine, with both of them being prime suspects of 2 murder cases. More people die, an unsolved murder case with a similar pattern to Catherine's late boyfriend's emerges, and Nick's partner gets killed with an ice pick in a very similar fashion to the content of Catherine's latest book. By the end of the movie, too many bodies have dropped. Although Nick can see a pattern that connects Catherine to most of the murders, his infatuation with her and her wits to frame her former college friend Beth prevents him from solving any of the cases. Instead, Nick and Catherine are shown in bed together in the final scene, just before the camera pans beneath the bed to reveal an ice pick, just before the ending credits roll. You don't need to be a detective to solve this. Catherine was the murderer all along, and helpless and henpecked Nick was about to become her victim, unbeknownst to him. If the villain winning has ever been made to look so sexy and appealing, even the viewers want her to win, it's this movie. David Fincher and Gillian Flynn's Gone Girl, which was released in 2014, is very similar to Basic Instinct, both in theme and disturbing endings. However, in this psychological thriller, Rosamund Pike's character Amy is a sociopathic woman who goes to insanely extreme measures to frame her husband Nick for murdering her as punishment for cheating on her. And by extreme measures, we're talking about fabricating evidence to show his motive to kill her, faking her own pregnancy, and splattering her own blood around the house to make a murder scene. After her plan gets exposed, she kills her ex, frames him to make it appear like he kidnapped her all along, and returns to her husband. She does all that just in time to vindicate him of all the incriminating evidence she had planted before her disappearance. It's really one of those movies you have to see yourself to get a full grasp of just how manipulative, deceptive, and evil Amy was. It's 2.5 hours of screen time, during which your hate and disdain for the villain seems to increase by the minute. At the end, her deception and schemes prevail. She's exonerated of a long list of crimes she committed just to hurt her husband. Amy ends up back in the arms of the same husband, having forced him into a corner by impregnating herself with a sample of his sperm. It's a lot of sexual and media politics. It's infuriating, and worst of all, justice never prevails. The sole entity of evil in the storyline gets everything she wants and more, without any repercussions. Hate to see it. For the final dark fictional story that sees the villain winning at the end is another classic, the Coen brothers' No Country for Old Men. When you go to see a movie with a cast list that features the likes of Josh Brolin, Tommy Lee Jones, Javier Bardem, Woody Harrelson, Kelly MacDonald, Garrett Dillahunt, Tess Harper, and Beth Grant, you'd expect at least one of those A-listers to be the hero riding away into the sunset. Well, prepare to get disappointed. The entire plot of this novel-based movie stems from a drug deal gone bad near the Mexican-American border in Terrell County in Texas in the 1980s. This mishap sets in motion a series of domino events for 3 different characters, and the ending is one of the most unpredictable Hollywood has ever seen. The first of these characters, a man named Llewellyn Moss, stumbles across the aftermath of the drug deal to find one man who is only barely alive. While searching for other survivors, Moss stumbles on $2.4 million cash and takes the money. However, he decides to return to the scene to fulfill the lone survivor's request of needing water. But upon his return, Moss is chased by a truck which supposedly wants the money he took. The town sheriff, Ed Tom Bell, gets on the case and tries to protect Moss and his wife in the process as a form of absolution for his past wrongdoings. Then enters Anton Chigurh, the third main character, who's one of many bounty hunters out to get the money from Moss. Eventually, Moss and his wife are killed by Chigurh, who retrieves the money, returns it to the client, and gets paid. Altogether, he walks away without anything more than a broken arm. As for the sheriff, the whole violent episode proves to be the final straw that forces him into retirement. Yeah, we agree, the synopsis doesn't exactly sound like there's a hero, particularly considering Moss picked up money that was never his. But if there was a villain, it was definitely Javier Bardem's bounty hunter character, and he won, all things considered, and has been said to be ahead of its time, but we're sure the Coen brothers have no complaints seeing as the film won 76 awards from 109 nominations from multiple organizations, including 4 Oscars, 2 Golden Globes, and 3 British Academy Film Awards. So maybe people don't hate seeing the villain win if the story is told well enough.